All right. Good evening, everybody. It is 7 p.m. in New York City and holiday time all across America. It is great to have you all with us. I am Sam Kimball from Crush Wine Experiences, and we are here for holiday edition of virtual day trip to wine country, presented by the New York Wine and Grape Foundation. And we're here for some great New York State wines for the holidays. And we have a great lineup of wines, 5 wines to be exact. We are excited about that. This will be a virtual tasting and crash course in how to approach your wine offering at various holiday gatherings and with the wines of New York State. And we're going to get started with our guests momentarily, but I'm going to walk through a few notes and a few things just about what we're doing and what we're headed to here. Who better to teach us about the wines of New York State than 5 heralded winemakers from New York's prize wine regions. Now, you might already have a favorite wine from New York, but you may just discover that your next favorite wine is one you discover in this session. So we're going to be discussing not only reds, but also white wines, rosés, sparkling wines, all for the holidays. So we're going to go virtually to 3 wine regions in New York State. Those are the Long Island wine region, Hudson Valley, and also the Finger Lakes. And again, we'll be hanging out for about 45 minutes. We've got 5 excellent winemakers with us, and the theme is great selections from the world of New York wines for any of your holiday occasions. For those of you who are not familiar with New York State wines, here are some key New York State statistics regarding wine. There are 471 wineries in the state. There are 11 different American viticultural areas, 35,000 acres of vineyards. And you might say, what does that all add up to? It's the 4th largest wine growing state in the US. Some people may not know that. And we have a couple of the major regions are right in the backyard of New York City. And as many of you who are familiar with the wines in New York State know, they're special. There are some really tremendous wines that come out of this region. Number 1, they are super food friendly. You're going to hear more about that from our guests. Great for pairing with holiday meals. They're perhaps the most food friendly wines in America. Number 2, it's a cool climate. So the wines are a little bit lower in alcohol, which makes them easy to drink. And that's really an example of New York wines being an example of less is more. And last but not least, New York wines are accessibly priced. There are some great values that come out of New York as compared to bottles from Europe and California. And so I'm really excited. New York is obviously in our backyard here at Crush Wine Experiences. We were formerly known as New York Wine Events. We're really excited about this session. I want to welcome everybody who tuned in. Please ask any questions or comments. Don't be shy in the chat in Zoom as we go, and we will answer those on the fly during the session. And also, if you would, right now, hit the chat and tell us where in the world you are tuning in from. We love seeing that. So this evening, we're going to travel virtually to 3 specific wine regions in the great state of New York. Again, Long Island, the Finger Lakes, and the Hudson Valley region. Let's take a look at those 3 regions on the map. I'm going to share my screen here and give you a visual of exactly where we are headed. So bear with me a moment, and we'll get that map up. You'll see we have real geographic diversity of where we're headed here. So here we are looking at a map of the state of New York. And on the left, you see the Finger Lakes. Follow the big red arrows there. On the right, sort of to the middle, the Hudson River region. And all the way down at the bottom right, at the tippy end of Long Island, you have the Long Island region, which encompasses wineries on the South Fork and the North Fork. Okay, so I also want to show you guys a URL. So for those of you who are interested in learning much more about New York wines, I am going to put in my background the URL, newyorkwines.org. That's the New York Wine and Grape Foundation. Fantastic website, tremendous amount of information, and a real directory of all things New York wine. So without further ado, I would like to introduce our 5 amazing guests, and I'm going to list them off, and then we're going to catch up with them across the session here. Kim Marconi, the winemaker at Three Brothers Wineries and Estates. Chris Kane, winemaker at 21 Bricks Winery. Phil Plummer, winemaker at Idle Ridge Winery. Roman Roth, winemaker at Wölffer Estate Vineyard. And Yancey Migliori, owner at White Cliff Vineyard and Winery. Welcome to all 5 of you guys. It is great having you here. Thank you for being here. I have to ask you, where does this broadcast find each one of you? We can start with you, Kim.
Well, this broadcast finds me right now I'm in Trumansburg where I live, but the winery I work at is in Geneva, atop of Seneca Lake. So one of the main Finger Lakes we grow grapes on. And it was an interesting harvest, but we're here. We made it to the holidays.
Excellent. Yancey, where are you at?
Well, White Cliff is a Hudson Valley winery, so we're located midway between New York City and Albany. And we are really physically the closest region to the city, so I happen to be on the Upper West Side of Manhattan.
Excellent. And Chris?
So I'm in the 4th region that is actually represented tonight, Sam, from the Lake Erie region, all the way on the west coast of New York, where it's a little bit more laid back and relaxed out here on the west coast. Probably one of the largest grape growing regions in New York State, with almost 22,000 acres of grapes in the Chautauqua County, quite large. But I'm located in Fredonia, New York right now, directly between Buffalo and Erie, Pennsylvania. In my house, in my basement, not at the winery, which is in Portland, New York.
That is awesome. And Roman, where are you at?
Well, I'm in the laboratory because the computer in the beautiful barrel cellar broke down. So unfortunately, it's not a romantic backdrop, but it happens here. This is in the heart of the Hamptons in Sagaponack, 2 hours east of Manhattan.
Excellent. And Phil?
Put on my best Long Island accent for you.
Yeah, we can hear it. We can hear it.
So I'm in Seneca Falls in the Finger Lakes here in New York. Our winery is about 1,500 feet behind me on the north end of Cayuga Lake.
Beautiful part of the country. All right, so we've got questions. This is all about holiday wines. A few questions to address for the holidays. Number 1, are there any do's and don'ts that people should know about the wines that they're consuming and choosing for the holidays? Roman, let's start with you.
Well, my don't list is, if you have a beautiful long dinner plan, which is usually happenings at Christmas, start with a light, elegant wine. Don't serve the big, heavy Amarone the first thing, and everybody is already, inebriated. Start light, start with rosés, start with Riesling, start with a Pinot Grigio. Get your stomach juices going, keep it light, sparkling wine, and then from there keep building and building till the late wee hours.
Excellent. Yancey, how about you? What's your rule of thumb?
I think to step outside of your comfort zone, to add something you don't normally have with a meal to help make it special. And the thing I'm definitely planning on this time myself is a cheese course, because I've discovered that our white port goes beautifully with every cheese I've tried it with. So a cheese course with a dessert wine will make it special.
Got it. Anybody else on guidance for do's and don'ts on the holidays?
Sure, I'd say know your audience. You don't want to, perhaps, if you've been saving this very expensive wine and you're really excited about it, and maybe your great aunt likes to put ice cubes in it, it's going to crush your heart. Maybe don't open it in that crowd. Or if your crowd likes something a little sweeter, go for a slightly sweeter Riesling. It's about family enjoyment overall. So. Cool.
All right. My key do and don't is, mix it up. A lot of people just think about reds or mostly reds for the holidays. And I think Roman made a good point on that as well. Like you want to start light. These are long meals and with lots of courses. All right, question number 2. Talk about the value. What's the value of buying a wine from a small craft winery? I mean, all of our wineries here are amazing craft producers versus buying a bottle of wine, mass market wine that can be found in any store in America. Phil, I'll start with you.
Yeah, thanks. I think so much about enjoying wine is experiential, and wine you can think of as an additive to experience or as the centerpiece of an experience. And I think the mass market big box wines that you find at a grocery store or liquor store are built for consistency and repeatability. And when you're thinking about the holidays and making memories, getting wines from a small craft producer is going to give you something where we're chasing excellence, and we really want it to be unique and change year over year based upon what we're seeing in the vineyards. And I think it makes for more coherent memories and better experiences.
Yeah, and I think Yancey, the other day you said something about what Phil just said, which is, friends and family and special occasions. Talk a little bit about that. I mean, you're looking for a distinctive experience and something to remember, right?
Absolutely. And as Phil just said, the really big producers, they're really making wine to a recipe that is going to be the same year after year. And your friends and family evening, you want to be something that stands out, something that's different, something that's memorable. And our wines are all unique, and each year are a reflection of what's going on that year in the vineyard in terms of the weather. And we're always going to be making them to make the most of whatever is good that's happening. And that's a great thing to share.
Yeah, I think that's right. Kim, how do you guys approach that at Three Brothers? Just sort of making that, just distinguishing the wines from, the more run-of-the-mill, middle-of-the-road, mass market stuff. I mean, I'm sure that as you think about the selections you're going to make, that's something that's on your mind. What's the point of difference with Three Brothers Winery, for example?
Yeah, so we have our estate fruit that we definitely focus on, and there's a lot of hands-on there between the wine staff and the vineyard. So you're getting a lot of people interacting, a lot of very specific handling and care. And Three Brothers also, our whole mantra is to make wine for everyone, so which is important, again, during the holidays. So we have the breadth of that from our dry vinifera house to kind of our more lifestyle brand, slightly sweeter wines. And so we are thinking about your entire crowd.
That's great. What about pairing, guys? I mean, what are your general rules of thumb? And we'll talk about pairing with each wine, which we'll profile in a few minutes as we go through the tasting. But Chris, what are your thoughts on pairing as you look at wines in the holidays?
To me, I mean, pairing wines, I think leading off with like Roman holidays is where you're going to have just a wide array of different foods and different styles, whether you're doing it as a standalone, you're hosting the party and you're controlling all the food, or it's more of a smorgasbord where people are bringing in food and a little bit more of a surprise. I think the beauty of the pairings is that there's such a wide array that it allows you to showcase a wide array of wines. I personally like to host the Christmas parties, not only because I can kind of control the food, but also the wine. I bring out, I don't bring them all out and open them all right from the get-go. I kind of control the pace, control the product that's out there. Now, if the bottle's not finished before I go to the next, from my light rosés or my Rieslings into my little bit heavier, getting into the reds, they can go back to it. But as far as pairings, I'm trying to start out light, and I build that base. I mean, you want that base platform put in there, and then build heavier through the day. But to me, holidays, Christmas, gatherings from everybody, it's my time to like be a little bit more experimental. I think Kim mentioned, know your crowd, but I take it as it's a time to kind of open up to my crowd and maybe showcase them to some things that they might not be aware of all the beautiful craft unique wines in New York State, or something they wouldn't be likely to try or buy. And then I find it's a great time for me to expose new products and new wines to a market that's family first, and they can go back, or friends, and they showcase it to the rest. But sometimes I fly blind, and I'll pick out some of the wines with some of the food to pair through, because it's just a time to I want to evoke conversation and experience with my family and friends, and sometimes that goes with the wine.
Absolutely. Roman, I think you made a really good point about, that's how you start and build. But as you look at pairing and coming from Germany and the incredible Christmas tradition there, how do you view that same question of pairing?
It's a good way to explain. I think, I don't want to serve airline wines, I call it. They get the job done while you're flying, but nothing to write home about. And at Christmas, we want to bring your hand artisanal, your crafted, I'm saying very special. I mean, I see, look at Chris's hands there in the video, it displayed it. We make our wines with our hands. Literally every bin, every lot, every barrel gets touched. You don't find that. The best way to explain is buy a commercial mass-produced cookie or make a cookie at home. What tastes better? The cookie at home, I would say, with real butter, with real sugar, not like some cardboard sugar thing. And the same is with wine. So show something special, show something that there's a story behind it. And with food, I mean, duck is of course at my home and my family's home always, but that's what's so nice. New York makes so many different varieties of grape varieties that they do very well with these many different grape varieties. So you can have Feast of the Seven Fishes, you can have white wines, you can have reds. The Pinot Noirs from Long Island or from New York are great. And so there's a big variety. So mix it up and surprise your guests with a blind tasting. Don't tell them what you're serving. Let them guess. They will guess anything in the world, but they will be nicely surprised when they see it's from New York.
I love that idea. I'm going to do that this holiday season. We're going to do a blind tasting in my house.
Keep your guests on your toes and the toes.
My wife is going to kill me, but we're going to do it anyway. Phil, you said something the other day, which I thought was just amazing. And it was, what grows together goes together with pairing.
So
talk a little bit about that approach.
I can't take credit for that. I have to give credit where credit's due. One of my first wine teachers, Lorraine Hems, who, if you're in the wine industry in New York, you've run into Lorraine at least once or twice. But I think in New York, and this may be playing to the back of the room a little bit, we're just spoiled. We have such an excellent food culture in every one of these regions that you mentioned earlier. We've got local artisanal cheeses, we've got local artisanal meats, we've got vegetable farms. You can get it all right here. And I think there's some synergy that happens when you source your foods and your wine from similar locations. And it's just magic.
Well, and Roman mentioned duck. I mean, there's lots of amazing duck on the eastern end of Long Island, and what better to pair it with than a great wine from the Long Island wine region. All right, so I think, I don't know what everybody thinks out there. By the way, I do want to, about getting started with tasting the wines, I do want to say hello. We've got people from, my goodness, Florida, Ohio, North Carolina, Cooperstown, New York, Chicago, New Jersey. Welcome, everybody. It's great to see you. California, Nebraska. Amazing. Great to see you guys. Thanks so much for tuning in. All right, so let's get tasting and profiling these wines. So wine number one is, of course, a white wine, and it is the Wölffer Estate Vineyard 2020 Grapes of Roth Virgin Berry Riesling. Roman, tell us a little bit about this wine.
Well, this is an exciting wine. In Long Island, we're very proud of our red wines, and as a result, we make a lot of rosé. But our white wines are very unique. We're on the same latitude as Madrid or Naples, so we're much further south than any French or German vineyards. So we have fantastic sun influence, and that helps us to ripen the fruit, gives great balance. We are 2.6 miles from the ocean, so we have a lovely sea breeze which captures the natural acidity, and that's what's, I think, what makes this wine so special. You can see it has 11.1 volume percent, and that's back to what I said earlier. You start elegant, start light. There's a whole huge long night ahead of you. Riesling, of course, a lot of people shy away because they always think they're dry, they're sweet, but this one is completely dry. And that makes it food friendly. It doesn't overload you with sweetness or with sugar or anything. It's animating. It's sort of the wine dances on your palate, on your tongue, basically, because it has this lovely play between fruit and acidity and the minerality. So it's really versatile with oysters. You can have this with ragu, with mushroom ragu, or with chicken. Obviously, it's just very versatile. It's not at all a sweet Riesling that what people think and shy away. That's why people don't order them unless the sommelier recommends it and knows it's dry, which is not always the case. Some of the wines, they have a little scale on the back where they indicate the sugar, the sugar level, the dryness level. In this case, I use that, and it indicates dry, but not every wine, every Riesling wine does that. So it's sometimes hard to know unless you taste it yourself or ask a sommelier. You wouldn't know, or ask the wine shop, the guy who sells it, if he knows the flavor. So bone dry, only 4 grams of acidity, of sugar. Beautiful 8 grams acidity. Is a great playfulness, the balance. It sort of gets the mood, sets the tone for a lovely night.
Yeah, this is a really nice wine, Roman. I just tasted it for the first time this evening, and the two things that jump out from a really nice balance and a really refreshing acidity. This is a lovely wine to start with, and obviously very light in terms of easy drinking, not high alcohol.
And it's this diversity. We talked earlier. Why should one serve a wine from New York? I mean, we all talk about tolerance and being acceptable and not being bullied. And the same holds true for wine. Just because some big distributor muscles its way through every liquor store in America, be individual, celebrate acidity, celebrate being different. And I think what this is a good wine to do that.
Yeah, I'm going to put it back up on screen for a moment here. So this is the Wölffer Estate Vineyard 2020 Grapes of Roth Virgin Berry Riesling. It's a very price accessible $32, and you can get it at Wölffer.com.
It has my mother on the label, by the way, so I'm officially a mother's boy, man.
I was going to ask you about that. Oh, that's great. She is definitely, she's celebrating. She's cheersing, I think.
Yes.
That's great. Well, that's a terrific one. Before we go to wine number 2, Roman, what's your favorite food to pair this with?
Well, as I said, I mean, shrimp cocktails, any seafood goes just marvelous with this wine. It's just so elegant, the minerality. Again, it's not sweet. Great acidity to cut right through salmon if you have a bit of a richer fish dish, for example. So extremely versatile. I like, Christmas Eve, we make always this puff pastry with a chicken ragu on top of it. Mushroom chicken ragu. That's sort of my favorite combination.
Love it. I love it. All right, so we're gonna move along to the second wine, which is the 21 Bricks Winery 2020 Dry Rosé. Chris, this is your wine. Tell us a little bit about the provenance of this, the grapes, and how you came to develop this flavor profile.
So this has been an evolving, moving target project for me over the years. 2012, we started with just our plain Pinot Noir Rosé, which was very nice, but the fellow could use a little bit more oomph. And so we started playing with other varieties. And this particular, what we've come up to is this is a 2020 dry rosé, where we do 60% Pinot Noir, cold pressed, hand-picked and cold pressed, and this is 40% Saignée Chambourcin, actually, where we bleed off and we blend the two together. Reason we're going with that, the candied strawberry that we get from our Pinot Noir, really nice, but then we bring in that Chambourcin, which brings that racy acidity in the back, it gives that like nice crisp backbone, but brings in that grapefruit and a little bit, there's a nice honeydew mix in the palate. And it's just, we finished this actually with 4 grams per liter sugar. So there's a touch in there, but it's not much, and still stays crisp with the acidity. And again, real price conscious here at $15. This has been one that we also offer this one in cans, but it's just a really nice, easy drinking wine. Even though it's so crisp, it's elegant, and it's expressive of our region, showing that we got a wide array of grapes, and this is a blend of two.
Now, super nice. I mean, this is a really approachable wine. I would love this with, you know, some nice goat cheese or a Spanish Mahone, or even a little bit of brie.
Yeah, we've done. We even go a little bit heavier with, we do some nice vegetable skewers and grilled salmon, even some seared duck. I mean, it's got some enough weight to it to cut through that, but it's really easy drinking one. I mean, by itself, I'm easy to sip on, but it's quite versatile.
Yeah,
And
this
we
could
carry
be,
heavier down into the season here.
notwithstanding the holidays, this could be a great wine for the beach or just to take to a picnic.
That's how it started out, seasonal. Let's keep this fresh. We're right down there. We have, you know, Lake Erie right on us. A lot of boaters. We have Chautauqua Lake, and a lot of people coming in and a boating season and relaxation. But it's good. It's used to be small batch. It's up to about 500 cases a year, and we're popping through, and it's lasting through, and one of a fan favorite.
Yeah, no, it's super nice. You can pick this up at 21bricks.com. It's on the screen here. And you guys are doing a little incentive. Thank you for that. It's 20% off if you use the discount code Crush Wine XP21. That discount
when you
code
log
is
in the website, yes.
in blue at the bottom there. So super nice. All right, so we're gonna move on to wine number 3, which is the Three Brothers Wineries and Estates 2017 Blanc de Blanc. It's a sparkling wine. Kim, tell us about this wine. I tried it a little while ago and I loved it.
Well, thank you. Yeah, so it's 100% Chardonnay. We actually sourced this fruit from Hosmer off Western Cayuga, and it came in super clean and pretty. And I love it because we decided to go into the lean 2-gram dosage, just very light. I really love the acid on this. It's one of my favorites to pull. I'm Italian from Long Island, actually, and we do Feast of Seven fish, and a lot of it is fried. And I will say that this pairs very well with anything decadently fried.
Yeah, it's really a nice. It's got really nice balance. I would actually pair this with a white clam pizza.
I would eat that. Yeah. And it also does well with things like oysters. It's lighter, it's fresh. It's definitely not leaning into the toasty brioche side of bubbly. It's the complete opposite end of the spectrum, really. So for sure, a versatile holiday wine.
It's Method Champenoise.
It is. It is.
And I'm sorry, the grapes in this again are
100% Chardonnay.
100% Chardonnay.
Yeah,
no, it's this one's delicious, very light. And super refreshing. And there's also, you can get it at shop3bros.com. I love the domain, shop3bros.com. And again, this as a really great Method Champenoise sparkling wine, very price accessible, $30, but we've got a promo code here, Crush Wine XP21, gets you 20% off. So, this is a terrific one. We have a question from John, so let me grab that. Bear with me 1 second. Nope. Oh, John's raised his hand. John, can you put your question in the chat if you would? Okay. Where does this fall in sort of the lineup at the winery, Kim? You know, is this one you've been making for quite a while? Is it a fan favorite?
This is actually our first traditional method sparkling we've made. So first out of the gate, we've been building the program, but sparkling is a labor of time and love. So we don't have that many released as of yet. So we're going to continue with a Blanc de Blanc. We're also adding a Blanc de Noir in years that the Pinot comes in nice enough. So 2020 will definitely be one. Maybe see that in about 5 years. So It is a labor
Yeah.
of love, but sparkling feels so festive for the holidays too. You can't not have a bubbly.
Yeah, I mean, I think for this lineup of wines, I mean, if somebody were looking for a shortcut, get these 5 wines for the holidays because they're going to be terrific across the spectrum of the menu that you're presenting. All right, so let's move on let's go to reds. We are going to do the next one is the 2021 Marquette Nouveau from Idle Ridge Winery. Phil, tell us a little bit about this wine. It's kind of a medium-bodied red. What's the background on it?
So this one, as you mentioned, is a 2021. So these grapes were still on the vine until late September this year. Nouveau is a style that people may be familiar with, most associated with Beaujolais in France. And the idea is that you kind of break all the red wine rules. You leave things whole cluster and really reductive with a blanket of CO2. So you're aiming for freshness over structure. And the wine is released on the 3rd Thursday of November every year, regardless of ready or not. So it's something that we really have to scramble to get done. Using a grape like Marquette that ripens really early helps us with that. But I think if we're talking about the holidays, thoughtful gifting is always at the top of my mind. And the Beaujolais Nouveau tradition is kind of built around that. It's a lot more marketing these days, but the whole idea of these Nouveau wines is that agriculture being kind of a migratory business, you have people that come and help and pick the grapes and make the wine. And when harvest is over and the work dries up, they move on to the next place where they're going to work in agriculture. And this is a gift that you can give to them that they can consume right away. It's ready to drink right away. They don't have to hold on to it through their travels. And it's a little reminder of the season that was.
And what temperature do you recommend people consume this young wine at?
So I would like to see it probably in the 50, 55 degree range. I think it benefits from a little bit of a chill.
So semi-chilled.
Yeah, absolutely. If not a little lower, depending on what you're into.
Yeah.
It's just that carbonic maceration style that I talked about before has some really aggressive estery aromas, and you can kind of tamp them down a little bit by getting it cold and let some of the other things shine.
And we can get this at idleridge.com, which I have on
Absolutely.
screen.
Absolutely.
And we have the same promo code, CrushWineXP21.
Sure thing.
Gets you 15% off a bottle purchase. So I just had it. I paired it, just kind of improvising here. I paired it with a little double cream brie, and it was super nice.
Bet that was good.
Yeah.
Bet that was good. I think of poultry with this. Turkey, duck, all those classic meats that you might have on the holidays. So
yeah, no, it's super light, medium bodied. Quick couple things for you, Phil. First of all, Lorraine is watching, and she said she did not invent what grows together goes together, but she's happy to share it since it works.
Well, she's the first place where I heard it, so I had to give credit. I can't claim that one for myself either.
And Susan's out in Chicago. She's asking about the Marquette. Drink it now, but can you lay it down and age it also?
We'll find out, I guess. I mean, that's one of the nice things about these Stelvin caps that we have. If you have the bottle in front of you, you can tell it's a screw cap closure that tends to be a little bit more protective than cork. I know there's another winery here in the Finger Lakes that did Marquette Nouveau in 2020 that was still drinking beautifully this year in September. So maybe. I really don't know. This is our first attempt, so we'll just have to find out.
Tell us a little bit about the grape varietal, Phil.
So Marquette is a hybrid that was developed at the University of Minnesota, and I think most of us in New York are familiar with hybrid grapes. Cornell has a breeding program, and there's breeding programs all over the world, really. And in each location, you're looking to develop grape varieties that work best in your own climate conditions. So In Minnesota, they're looking for grape varieties that survive winter and ripen early. And Marquette is certainly one of those. I think it can survive down to like -35 Fahrenheit without dying off. And it's not unheard of to see it north of 20 bricks by Labor Day. So it's a variety that really fits their goals. One of its parents is Pinot Noir, so we get that really bright cherry red fruit thing off of that. Just really high acid. That's a hallmark of all of the Minnesota hybrids too.
Well, you're making us smarter, Phil. One of our goals at Crush Wine XP is to get people, as Yancey said, to get out of their comfort zone and try new varietals, new wines, different selections. And so I've never had Marquette before and loving it. And it's a new one for me. So thank you.
Well, I'm glad you like it.
So, all right. So we're rounding third and coming home. The last wine is a terrific, bold, robust red wine from Wycliffe Vineyard and Winery. It is the Merlot Malbec 2016. Yancey, tell us a little bit about this wine and how did you guys, again, this is outside of most people's normal path with wine. I've tried it. It's great. Tell us a little bit about how you arrived at making this wine.
Well, for starters, Wycliffe has one of the biggest vineyards in the Hudson River region. We grow a lot of grapes, but interestingly, this one, the grapes are sourced from Long Island because Merlot and Malbec both want gentler winters, maybe longer growing season. They're just grapes that are going to do better on Long Island. But we've always, from the very beginning, 22 years, we've wanted to make wines with the range of grapes that work in New York State. So from our home vineyard, we'll do things like Gamay Noir and Chardonnay and a host of things. But the Merlot Malbec is, we reach out to Long Island for that. And it's, I think of it kind of as a junior Bordeaux blend because the big reds of Bordeaux, they work with Merlot, Malbec, Cabernet Franc, Cabernet Sauvignon, Petit Verdot, and one or two others. So this is part way towards that kind of a blend. And we partly, actually, I would say one of the reasons that this has worked for us and we've stayed with it, we had a lot of Merlot to work with. There's wonderful Merlot grown in New York State and especially on the North Fork. And then that movie Sideways came along and Merlot became so uncool and Malbec was a lot cooler. So the Merlot Malbec blend just was really working better for us. But it also, I think it's 60% Merlot, 40% Malbec. You get a lot of fruit from the Merlot in terms of the flavor profile, and you get more tannins and some interesting and unusual aromatics from the Malbec, especially with age. We've always found the Malbecs do best with time. So it's partly sort of cultural evolution. It's partly reaching out, wanting to work with what grows in New York, and then partly balancing the fruit and the tannins in the different grapes.
Yeah, I got to congratulate you. For an East Coast red wine, this has so much character and just a great, the aromatics, the bouquet is terrific. What would you recommend that people pair this with for the holidays?
My husband said right away lamb, something like a rack of lamb. I had been thinking roast beef, both are things that people might gravitate to. And, they're meats that have fairly strong flavors and maybe complemented by something like a horseradish sauce. So you want a wine like this one with a lot of flavor. It is not a heavy red. You know, if you think of the big reds from warm California vineyards, you're going to have higher alcohol, you know, 15% or so. And this is more down in the classic New York 12% range. So it's not heavy, it's medium bodied, but which makes it food friendly, like all of our wines. It's flavorful. To me, I always pick up this really interesting violet aroma note, something very floral that we get out of the Malbec in particular. Just really an interesting wine, but flavorful, smooth, and food friendly. It has a couple of honors that we're really proud of. It spent 4 years on the wine list at one of New York City's great restaurants, the Gramercy Tavern. And it also, this vintage recently got a gold medal at the San Francisco International Wine Competition. And over the years, we've had a lot of those, and we've been around long enough that we've seen New York wines evolve from being sneered at to really working our way towards respect. But we've always really strived for medals in serious competitions so that we can move beyond the wine snobs.
Yeah, I feel like we're kind of at this point, and especially with the 5 of you guys, tremendous wineries in New York State. I think we're sort of we've passed the point where we're still saying that, you know, hey, what about New York wines? I mean, New York wines win awards. You just, as you mentioned, you know, Roman at Wölffer, you know, there's tremendous groundswell of recognition. So those people in the wine world who really are paying attention know that, you know, the New York wines have arrived on the world stage.
It's hard to break. It's hard to break prejudice, you know, in wine as well. So it took many years, but it's finally, it's accepted.
It certainly is. I think we have a couple questions here. I'm trying to. John and Cindy have raised their hands, but I'm just seeing if we can get them, put them in the chat. We could also enable them to talk. Let me just see here. John, are you there? Do you have a question? Maybe not. All right. How about Cindy? Let's see. I know we had a couple people raise their hands, but nope. All right. Well, this has been so much fun for me. I hope that everybody watching has gotten something out of it. I'm thrilled that we have people from so many places around the country. I would like to read something and then make a toast. So this is a very nice sort of blurb from the New York Wine and Grape Foundation website. And if you'll follow me here, it's something that's really interesting, and it speaks to New York wines. First, they ignored us, then they dismissed us, then called us crazy, but we didn't ask for approval. We are the outsiders in an industry of old world institutions. We were never supposed to make it big. We could easily move and grow in perfect conditions, but we didn't. We leaned into adversity and came together as a family to make something out of nothing. The game is changing, and we're staking a spot at the front of the pack. Instead of following centuries of tradition, rituals, or rules, we're redefining quality, tastes, and experiences. Enjoy it how you'd like. We won't judge. Our future is not in algorithms. It's about our customers, our growers, and our members. It's for the people, by the people. Our collaborative ethos is irreverent and of itself. We are an intrepid band of outsiders, and we're in this together, a family, and we believe in what we do. And I just thought that was an apt sort of recounting of where New York wines have been and come through and where they are today. And I want to raise a glass with all 5 of you guys and say cheers. Thank you so much for being with us for a New York wine guide to the holidays. And everybody have a safe and healthy, happy holiday. It takes people to grow it. It takes people to make it. But all of you watching, it takes people to consume it. So enjoy and drink New York wine. You won't be disappointed. Cheers.
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 Thank you, everybody. Have a wonderful holiday season. We will see you in the new year with more great wine from around the world and more great wine from the great state of New York. Thanks for tuning in. Be safe, everybody. Thank you.
Bye now.
Bye-bye now.
Bye.